Is it live? Yeah, it's live. Okay. Hi. Hi, guys. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Hens. Hi, GS Warrior. Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Crystal. Thank you all for joining me. Alrighty. A little later than I told you guys I would be here, but the live wanted to play games, so I don't know what happened, but I'm here. I'm here now. All right, so we are going to be, I feel like this looks really close on screen. I want it to be kind of back a little bit. Let's see. Can I push this back without messing it up? That looks a little better. Alrighty. Okay. Hi, Stylish. Hi, Michelle. Okay. So I have a few questions that came in. Welcome back, everybody, by the way. I welcome y'all back. I'm the one who was taking care of some stuff, but I am back. Thank you all for continuing to watch the channel and for all the likes and the support of the channel and the comments. I really do appreciate it. It's great to be back. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder, and I have been on hiatus for a little bit. So I'm back now. I did get this message. Hi, Carl. Hi, Christy. I did get this message this morning. So there's a few things that I want to talk about on tonight's show. And if you guys have any questions, thoughtful questions, by the way, not the basic questions of where do I get started? Because where do you get started in studying or looking for a job, or you're stuck on something? My whole channel is 1,300 plus videos that you can go through. I even had somebody to tell me when I told them, they were like, well, what certification should I sit for? I said, I've got dozens of shows about certifications, the breakdown of the certifications, what they are, what they cover, what they require, where they would be best for, like what setting. Still, oh, sorry, I can't find it. Can you? No, I can't. I won't. The one of my pet peeves is repeating myself. That's one of my pet peeves. Although when you are an educator, which I do consider myself an educator, you do have to repeat yourself. And I don't mind repeating myself for like really new people. But this was a just a lazy comment. So I encourage you guys to look through the videos because you'll see a lot of things, and some of the things that you will see are some things that you maybe never even thought of asking. So look through the videos before asking like really simple questions. Where do you get started? What association to go with, that kind of thing. But I want to read this question because I got this question this morning. And the reason that I want to read it is because a lot of new people will ask these same questions. So if you're new, meaning that you're new in that you're considering this career and you want to know if this is right for you, the answers are going to be in some of these questions. Now, the other thing I will say is this. I am about integrity. Okay? That is what I am about. What that means is that in my instance, I work for every dollar that I get. If somebody approaches me and I know that this is not going to be for them, this is not worth the time to explain because what they are looking for from this industry is not in line with what I believe would be a successful start, I will not accept this person as a client. I will not accept this person's money. I will not do that because, again, I earn every dollar that I get. So that's what happened with this situation as well. So let me read the message and then we'll get into it. So the viewer says, "Hi, I did a Google search and found a video of yours from 2020. Do you still do career advice / coaching? If so, I would like to schedule a Zoom session with you and have no problem paying your fee through Zelle. In advance, my questions are as follows. I'm a 58-year-old male, so not only am I a man looking to get into a female-dominated field, but I am older. My past has also been a restaurant general manager. One time I oversaw 2 busy restaurants, both quick service and full service restaurants. I was also general manager of a granite countertop business for several years. Although I have worked with women for many years as a subordinate, coworker, and their supervisor, since this field is a little different, I'm a little insecure, and I'm a little also insecure about venturing into an entirely new field. I got inspired about this job as I was looking into remote jobs because I desired to live abroad and as an expat, and heard that a large percentage of medical coding jobs are remote, and I think I could be great at it too. I have been looking into training and certifications, and there is an accredited school. I don't know who they're accredited through, near where I live, but the medical billing and coding certificate class is 9 months for $18,000. And there is no guarantee that I'll get a job or an internship afterward. You see, if you had been watching my shows, you would know that that is excessively high. If you could do a Zoom session with me, I would be grateful. If I could come up with more questions, I can give them, in advance of the call to make it easier for both of us. Thank you. So this is what I said. So I said, I'll save you time and money. My rate has gone up, and my video from 2020 may have the old rate listed. I always try to update my current rates for like coaching and tutoring and resumes, but it's not always possible. Again, 1,300 videos. But no, you should not pay $18,000 for a school. People do this all the time and start in their late 50s. No one cares that you're a male. They care about competence. And no, you should not do this remote, especially when you're brand new, let alone abroad. There are rules and laws about accessing private patient information while abroad, connecting to the internet, right? Let alone connectivity issues. Not only that, some countries have rules about how much money you can make. I think people don't even think about that. There are rules to that. And I said, my whole channel answers all of these questions. And then, of course, he thanked me for, saving him time. He said, I very much appreciate your prompt and direct response. Most people will tell you anything to get you to spend money on their program. And it is hard to find good advice. So my thanks are sincere to you, obviously. I need to look at some other type of remote job. Coding sounded interesting and rewarding, but it just won't fit my plans. Again, thank you. So I don't have to take people's money for every single approach that I get, okay? I don't have to, because again, to me, it's unfair, because there's a lot of people that will take your money and will sell you anything. I could have told this guy, sure, and booked a session with him and told him that exact same thing. And he would have felt like he wasted money talking to me, even though maybe he might have been grateful of, just me taking the time to speak with him. But this is more efficient, that I just told him, hey, no, this isn't going to work, because what you want is not in line with what you should be looking at when you're first starting this. But I do stand by everything that I just said. Even if you're a male, and I get that sometimes from males, they'll write to me and say, well, Blue, this is a woman dominated field. Can I do this? The only one putting up that barrier is you. Because believe it or not, men bring a different perspective into coding. Not only that, it's also really good when they're working with providers, because sometimes this just happens. These are human beings and they're people. Sometimes it is easier for male doctors to speak to male coders. So when there are competent male coders around, and there's a doctor who just feels more comfortable speaking with another male, then that's what it is. This is not a gender thing. This is not a, oh, this and this and this, everybody's equal. I understand everybody is equal, and that is true. But it's just like when you go to your own private doctor, there are some people that they don't want to see a male doctor if they're a female. They want to see a female doctor because they would know more about them because they have the same parts, right? Same thing with the male. There are some things that males want to see another male for, not see a female doctor. And it's just a personal preference. It has nothing to do with, oh, don't like this, don't like that. It's just a personal preference. It's no different in the coding world. Sometimes we need that. We need a good balance. So again, the only one putting up that barrier, if you're a male and, oh no, I don't know if I can do this because I'm a male, the only one putting it up is you. It is the same thing for women who go into a male-dominated industry and they suddenly start thinking, oh, can I do this because it's all males? Well, depending on what it is that you're doing, if you work just as hard, there's things that men and women can do. It's just like coding. Men can do this too. Now, I did a video before I went on hiatus talking and encouraging males to get into it. Do you know people had the nerve to dislike that video because I'm encouraging males to get into it? I encourage anybody who's willing to put in the work, whether they are male or female, to get into this field, because we need competent people in this field. We don't need more people who are just here to just push through codes because that's what they were sold in the school. And oh yes, you can make this high salary and you can do all of these things because they're selling a program. And these people who don't want to study and who just want to just go along to get along and just have a good job with good pay and not really think about all of the investment that they should be putting into it. We don't need more people like that in the industry. We need more people who are going to say, okay, these are the rules, this is what we got to follow, and I've got to learn and I've got to be able to catch up. So I'm going to take some time so that I better understand the human body, so that when I'm coding, I'm not so lost and confused. Because believe me, there's a lot of people that are still lost and confused, and they stand around asking questions, lost and confused, because they're not paying attention. Coding involves study. It involves a vast amount of knowledge that gets built over time. It's not something that you have to run away from. People who have high school diplomas or GEDs get into this all the time, don't have a college degree. They excel because they understand the assignment. And the assignment is that you're studying, that you review the books, you review the guidelines. And somebody else got smart and said, well, where's the guidance about highlighting the book? You need to write in your book. You need to highlight in your book. Why? Doctors and scholars write these coding manuals. You don't need to write in it, okay? Now, there's people who will do that, and those are training wheels that you do not need. And people say, well, Blue, you should have your own school. Y'all don't want me to have my own school, because I'll tell you what, you will not write in these books. You will learn the correct way so that you can be a strong coder, and then you can do whatever it is that you want to do, and you can make all of this high salary and do all these fun things, but you have to put in the work. That's what it requires, putting in the work. If you're not putting in the work, then you're going to be struggling your entire career. I have been a medical coder for 16 years. Not only a medical coder, but I've also been a physician educator, other healthcare provider educator as well. So I've worked with a lot of people and I've done a lot of things. And my job and my work and my career gets better and better every single day. I say this all the time. I have in 2014, I had my aha moment, which means that I had this like, oh my gosh, I get it now. In 2014, I became a medical coder in 2008. So it took me that whole time to finally understand what I had to do. And I didn't have somebody on the internet, on YouTube, telling me that you got to get this book, you got to study with this, you got to do this, and you've got to, work this way in order for you to advance. I didn't have that. I figured it out. So you're lucky. Some of you are lucky because you will follow my advice, and I really do appreciate that. And the people that do follow my advice and they come back and they tell me, oh, Bleu, I passed my test. Oh, Bleu, because of you, I was able to find a job. Or Bleu, I'll never guarantee my resumes, but I've had so many people tell me, Bleu, because of you, I was able to get a job. Now I can feed my family. And that to me is the best thing in the whole world when somebody tells me that, because I know I've just impacted somebody for the rest of their life, because then now they have a career. Now they can work. They have the tools to be able to move forward. They did the work, but they also listened. And so that to me is so precious. It's so important. And it gives me drive to continue to do this, even when I get foolish comments sometimes, So that's just something that you all have to understand. I take this very seriously. This is the one thing that you cannot fool around with me with, is this career field. The other thing I will say is this. Like I said, I will never guarantee that anything with my resumes. What I will tell you with my resumes is this, is that with my resume service, which I do write resumes, I have so many bookings. I do not have to take every single person that approaches me for a resume. That's number one. Number two, when you come to me, it is because you need my help. I don't cold email people trying to solicit my service. Okay? I don't have to. I barely put out flyers that say, okay, this is what I do, my resume service, that kind of thing, coaching, tutoring, whatever. I barely have to do that, because if you look at the description box, you'll see all of that there. And a lot of people still contact me that way to book a session for a resume. With the resume, you get a new resume, a cover letter, because yes, you do need a cover letter, and you get a 30-minute Zoom session with me face-to-face. It is a 7-day turnaround for this resume. From the day of that meeting, there is a 7-day turnaround. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because a lady I was telling this to, I was giving her all the breakdown. There's no refunds for this service, because if you allow people to, they will waste your time. They will waste your time. They will try to take advantage of you, because I've had a few people try to take advantage. And if you say, okay, well, yes, there's a review and feedback session, because the lady asked me, is there a review and feedback session once I get the resume? No, there is not. That's why we meet for 30 minutes, so that you can tell me what you're looking for. This is what we discussed. What are you looking for? What are your goals? What are some additional skills that maybe you didn't think of? Because I'll look at your resume that is in its current state, and I will make sure that the dates are correct. What do you want to have on here? How far back on your history are we going to go? All of that's going to be nailed out during that 30 minutes. I am not going to sit here and go back and forth with people when you're coming to me with a resume that is not getting any responses. My resumes, again, not a guarantee, but I have been told plenty of times my resumes get responses because of the work that I do. And they have been complimented. They've been able to move forward in their job seeking process because of the resume that I give them. So I'm not going to allow anybody to question, oh, can we go back and forth on this? No. That's why we have 30 minutes to discuss what is it that you want to do. Where do you want to go with this? Because I've had people that say, well, can you change the date on here? Did you tell me about that date change? Okay, I'll go ahead and update the date change because for whatever reason their resume showed an old date on there and they wanted me to adjust the date. I can do that. I misspelled something. Sometimes that does happen. But it's very rare. And yes, I will go back absolutely on something like that. This was misspelled, their name, whatever. And it wasn't my fault, actually. It was the update, the edit thing. I didn't catch it because I'm always looking at the names and how they're spelled. But that one slipped past me. Absolutely, I will go back and change that. But, oh, can we add this? Can we add that? Can we do this? Can we do that? No. And another one had me say, well, I told her it was going to be on one page, because it's clean. It's clean like this on one page. It had everything that this lady needed to have on her resume. And I was impressed. That was a really good resume that I put together for her. She comes back and she tells me, oh, the ATS reader software that I use recommends that I add these other things and it's going to go to another quarter of a page. Should we add that? No, it took all of that work to get it onto one page. If you want to add that, then by all means, you go right ahead. But I did my part. I am not adding, I'm not changing anything. Oh, Bleu, I'm sorry, and blah, blah, blah. No, again, you came to me with a resume that needed help and I fixed it, and now you want to change it because you're following this ATS reader. Well, newsflash, and like I said in the meeting, all the software that I use is ATS compatible. It's compatible with it. So this is not an issue, and I don't know where that lady was getting the information from. So again, if you allow people to, they will try to waste your time. And I will not have my time wasted because I have too many clients that I have to attend to. I have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job, and I am not complaining. I am telling you guys so that y'all understand. I have a full 40-hour-a-week job. I have YouTube that I have to make content for because the ad revenue goes to pay for my education. Patreon is the same way. I make videos for Patreon, but more in line with like my own personal life because they're paying to support me. And not only that, I do like worksheets and stuff like that on Patreon. So that way they have stuff to work on. And then we have once a month study hall, which I think is a great deal for what I charge a month for Patreon. But that aside, I have all of that, not to mention everything else in my own personal life that y'all don't know anything about. But that's already a pretty full plate. And then you want to add on resumes, tutoring, professional coaching. And I have to make sure that I break down my time so that everybody that pays for my time gets equal time and that I am fully focused on what I have to do for them, because that's that important to me. And like I said, you cannot fool around with me when it comes to this, because I take this very seriously. And again, people will try to play with your time if you allow them, and I will not. Okay, so that's that on that. So what did I miss? All right. Christy, Jenny, Kim. Hi, Kim. Walker, thank you so much. Shimmy, hi. Shimmy says, I remember a woman asking me about doing coding, and she said that women usually do it. Well, I mean, women do usually do it, but if you want to do it, it's up to you. If you're a male and you want to pursue this career field, by all means, you go right ahead and do it. I wouldn't let other women scare me from doing it. If I had a job that was mostly men, I wouldn't let them scare me off from doing it either. And just so you guys know, before I got into coding, I delivered phone books for a living with my mom. And that was a male-dominated industry. There was men everywhere. We were, my mom and I were part of a handful. Literally, maybe 6 or 7 of us were women in this organization, and the rest were men. But we got called on to do some of the most special projects, the projects that they needed people to do everything very, very meticulously. Those were our assignments, you know, and some of the more cushy assignments as far as like the really fun stuff that you could do with delivering phone books, because there were some really good assignments to go on. But we didn't let the fact that it was mostly men stop us from working. And it should, if you're a male and you want to get into coding, it shouldn't stop you from getting into coding either. I'm just saying. Becky says, is a community college better to acquire medical coding training? It depends, because sometimes with the community college, the person that is teaching this is not always somebody that has had coding experience, or they're not always somebody who is currently certified. I've heard of that as well. Somebody said that they went to a community college where they were, the instructor was using an old coding book and refused to use a new coding book because the old coding book had all of her notes in it. And so when she would give the students like quizzes and stuff, she would mark them wrong because they were using an updated book and they had the updated code. So it really all depends. That's why I say you have to do your due diligence when you are looking at these college programs. Make sure that you can talk to the instructor, because if the recruiter for the school is not willing to allow you to speak to the instructor, there are dozens of coding schools that you can pick from, okay? And that they will allow you to speak to the instructor. And that will give you a good idea of their temperament, because sometimes this is the person that you're going to have to go to for questions. If they can't handle you asking questions, then what are you going to do when you're in the coding program? And before I fork over thousands of dollars, whether it's $5,000 or $18,000, you bet your boots I am going to go over there and I'm going to talk to that instructor and I'm going to find out how competent they are. And I'm going to ask them questions, because that's my right as a student and somebody that's going to be paying for school. I'm just saying. Hi, Drink. Hi, Alexandria. In my lane, do employers prefer you training, do employers prefer you have training instructor-led or self-paced? Okay. Competence is what they're looking for. So they don't care if you have an instructor or that you are self-paced, right? Because I've had plenty of people go through my independent study that I have on YouTube for free, with all the books and the syllabus that you need. And they've been able to successfully pass their coding certification exams, and they have jobs. So it didn't matter that they self-studied. What mattered was they were certified and that they could pass their assessment test and that they were competent. That's what they're looking for at the end of the day. Because you can have an instructor who is incompetent. I don't say that to be mean. I'm just saying that there are some that they're just there to collect a check and go home. Becky said, what is your take on online community college teaching medical billing and coding? It's the same if you were going in person, depends on the instructor. Romy says, hi, Blue. Do you think a charge capture specialist is the same as a medical coder? Yes, that's what it sounds like to me. Becky says, also, what's your take on dental coding? It's the same thing as regular coding. You're just looking up the codes. I don't really get that question. James says, I am working full-time while studying to take the CPC. So far, I have invested a year in school, and now I am studying independently. A lot of study is required for sure. There you go. Stylish says, I'm in your self-study program, and I study all the time. There you go. Shanda says, talking to Stylish. James says, appreciate all your straightforward insights and reality checks about medical coding. Thank you. Thank you, James. Stylish says that they are going to Ed2Go through Skill Up. I just took the midterm, so I'm also finished in coding class. Hi Tangy. Kathy says I paid $20,000 for a private college HIM program and went through one at the community college. I felt I learned so much more through the community college program. Well, that's good. That's good that you felt like you learned. For $20,000, I would hope that would be the case. Anna says your time is valuable, as is yours. As is yours. That's the thing, guys. I don't fool around. I get right to business. It's the same thing like I expect for people to not fool around and get right to business. Because another lady that I had done a resume for way back, when we were doing the session, all she was doing was complaining. She was a former educator, and she was just complaining about, volunteering at the school and that kind of thing. And she just kept complaining, and I kept trying to get her back on talking about what she wanted on her resume, what we're gonna make this for, and she didn't stop. And so when she got her resume back, I had put everything on there as best I could, and she said, well, I don't think that you understand what I was saying. You were complaining, ma'am. I understood complaining very well, and I understood I was trying to get you back on track. So I think you still have a good start here and with your resume, so good luck to you. Just saying. Hi, Alice. Hi, Paranelia. Hi. Alice says, I just want to be a part of your symphony. I have no idea. Sorry. I don't have courses, Tinos. I don't have courses. I have Patreon. Patreon has all of my worksheets. And if you look on YouTube, I have my independent study that has my syllabus. You can do that on your own. There's no class. James says, study strategy question for you. Okay, I am using the coding guidelines and then finding the coding examples that demonstrate how those guidelines apply. Does this seem backwards? No, it seems very good. I like it. Jemmy says, I am, hi, am finished coding specialist. What kind of applied? Work on your English. Shimmy says, I didn't listen to her, LOL. Good, I'm glad. During World War II, when men had to go to war, women filled the positions they had. There you go. Kim says, I wanted to say, I think you and I are soul sisters since I love books as much as you do. Thank you for everything you do to get the reality of coding out to us. You're welcome. Andrea says, I'm going to graduate in 3 months. Congratulations. I was wondering, if I pay for resumes, do you think you do one for me being fresh out of school? So I've done resumes for people who are in school, who've just completed school, who have finished school 5 years ago and decided to now just come back to it. I can do anything when it comes to resumes, as far as like the professions. And it's not just coding and health information that I've done resumes for. I've also done resumes for educators and other administrative positions, and they've been successful with those. So really, resumes come down to getting right to the meat of the potato. What are you bringing to this employer that is going to benefit them? Because with the employers, it's all about the employer. They may say, oh, we're like family here, and we do things as a group, and we do all these kinds of things, which is nice. It's a nice sales gimmick. And sometimes that's just not the case. But what are your skills that you're bringing? And at the end of the day, that's what they're looking at. What skills are you bringing? How are you telling me as efficiently as possible, using the fewest amount of words, but getting your point across? Because I don't want to see the same thing over and over again. If you're working in the same kind of industry and you are doing the same kind of tasks, I've seen people who will bring resumes to me that show the same thing over and over again. And they have 50,000 things in each one of these things. As if I'm hiring, I don't care. This person is wasting my time. I'm going to go on to the next person because you're not telling me concisely what it is that you're bringing to me. Well, Blue, I've never worked as a medical coder before. So you have training, you have skill. And even if you didn't go through a formal program, you still learned ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS, ICD-10-PCS if you studied that. And if you look at the job listings, you'll see that the skills that are required are those things: medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology. That's what they're looking for to be there. Instead, I see people say, oh, well, I have good customer service skills and I can answer the phone. If I am hiring for a coder, I do not care that you have customer service skills. Why? Because coders are not working with customers, right? They're working with providers, healthcare providers and physicians. That's who they primarily work with. If you're working on the billing side, you're going to be working with customers. That's expected on that end. Yes, absolutely. But again, if you're looking for a coding position, that's not what I'm looking for. So I do not expect to see a soft skill like customer service on your skills list. Your skills list are your hard skills. These are the things that you were trained in. These are the things that you have to use in order to pass a certification exam. That is what is a skill. Soft skills is team player, you're organized. I don't want to see those on a skills list because managers take maybe 5 seconds and you go on Instagram. Go on Instagram and you follow anybody who does HR. Because I talk about resumes, I get a lot of HR people from the algorithm. So I'll follow some of them. Anna Papalia is one of the ones that I do follow. I love her. She's awesome and she's blunt like me, okay? But she will say like exactly what these employers are thinking. And she'll say that they spend just a few seconds looking at your resume. And if it's clean, it'll grab their attention. If it's all cluttered and everything, they're not going to want to see that. They're not going to want to see that. And when I'm looking at a skills list, I shouldn't see excellent ICD-10-CM or proficient in CPT coding. Why? You're qualifying your skill. I don't need that. I don't need to see a qualifier. Everybody's going to be excellent. Everybody's going to be competent in that. I just need to know what it is. ICD-10-CM, CPT, HCPCS, ICD-10-PCS, if you have that. And again, these are on separate lines. These are not all jumbled together. They're not ICD-10-CM/PCS, because if I see that, that's immediately going into the pile that I don't want to call these people back, because that's lazy. And you may think, well, it's efficient. Is it? Is it? It's not, because again, ICD-10-CM is your diagnosis coding. ICD-10-PCS is your inpatient procedure coding. These are two different things completely. So you cannot put them together like that. It's lazy, and I don't want to see it. And not knowing what your certifications are, okay? Not knowing what your certifications are. If I'm having to do an Easter egg hunt on your resume to find out which credential that you have, too much work. Again, that's going to go in the pile that I'm not going to be concerned with those folks. I'm just saying. Let's see, what do we have here? Shanda says, I'm sorry, where did you say that your self-study guide was located? On my channel. I have it. You just put independent study. Where do we go? Where do we go? Anna says, should managers know how to code? Absolutely. I have met some that say they don't. That's not an excuse. Jimmy says, okay. You didn't listen to me the first time, Jimmy. You're out of here. Shimmy says, okay, you're talking to Kathy. All right. Kim says, I previously passed the CPC certification, but due to life, I was unable to keep my certification up to date. Now I'm using your self-study syllabus, all right, to prepare for the CCA. That's awesome, Kim, and good luck to you on your next attempt at getting into this. You'll get it. It always, coding manages to call people back, okay? That's one of the things. If it finds you, which I always say coding found me, because it wasn't the other way around. I had no idea what coding was when I got into it, but it found me. And it sounds like it found you too. Jessica says, any advice on picking up extra PT or temp or part-time or temp coding work? I'm a full-time coder. Is now a good time, or is it better to wait for the new year? What's the best time of year to pick up a little extra work? Whenever it's available. You're welcome, Shanda. Kathy says, okay, talking to Shami. Okay. RHIA in the future. Only if you want to be in management. If you want to be a director, absolutely. If you want to be an educator, absolutely. If you want to run a department, right? Be a manager, be a supervisor, absolutely. Those are for our leaders. Having an RHIA and being a coder, you are overqualified at that point. Why? And before any of you gets fresh, because there's somebody's gonna be saying, no, hold on. If you look at the syllabus for the RHIA programs, that's the Bachelor of Science in Health Information Management. If you look at any of the CAHEM approved colleges or universities, and you see the syllabus, right? The majority of those things that are covered on there, medical law and ethics, data analytics, human resources and managing people, those are the main subjects of that degree program. The coding is a very small portion of that exam, of the exam itself and of the program. So that's why if you are interested in pursuing a degree, make sure it is because you want to be in leadership, because that's what those degrees are designed for. Now, somebody will come on here and they will come to the comments and tell me how I'm wrong and how they feel that getting a degree, the RHIA, right, the certification designation, once you complete that program for the health information management, is because you're showing dedication to the field. My love, you can show dedication to the field through other methods that are not going to cost you. Because not everybody thinks on how to pursue a degree in a way that's not going to put them in debt. I personally do not believe in student loan debt. There are some people, they don't really have a choice because they're going into a career that requires a lot for tuition, and I understand that. And sometimes that's just the way that it is. But there are those people that can think of how to pay for education so that it's not so impactful to them, so that they can graduate with little to no debt from student loans, right? There's some people that don't believe in that. I personally do not believe in student loans at all, okay? But that is just me. But like I said, there are ways to get your education paid for. There is working an extra job so that you can pay for your tuition, shopping around and looking for a really good school that has really good tuition rates, right? Or really good rates for their program. And there's also applying for scholarships, which a lot of people don't want to do because it's too much and blah, blah, blah. And they want to turn their nose up. But when you add up a bunch of different scholarships, that can add up to a lot of money, okay? It just takes a little bit of time and some effort, right? The same that you would be out there working a job, you could be doing that, pursuing scholarships. And there's tons of scholarships out there, guys. There are tons of scholarships. And not only that, when you are working for an organization, a lot of people don't know this. There are organizations that will do tuition reimbursement where they will pay for a portion of your degree. Or sometimes they will pay for the whole thing, depending on that organization. So those are the types of opportunities that you do need to look for when you're out there, because why would you put yourself in debt so unnecessarily because you didn't do your research? All right? I'm just saying. It is possible to get a degree and not be in such heavy debt. There's a lot of people who they're very young, right? And they're just out of high school and they go right into college and they try to get some degree, right? And then they end up not using their degree. And all of that money that was wasted. So I don't believe that people should just pursue college, because there's a lot of other professions that pay just as well, and sometimes they'll pay more than if you have a degree. You should only pursue a degree, doesn't, not only just in health information management or health information technology, but pursue a degree when you know what it is that you want to do, when you have a plan. Don't just go willy-nilly thinking, oh, I'm going to get a degree in political science. Okay, that says that you can write papers. That's about all it says. But what can you do with that? Why would you spend thousands of dollars and have that debt load for decades trying to pay it off when you don't even know what to do with it and you have no idea, or you're not even working in that field that requires that degree? People who get degrees all the time because they were forced to, or they think that they need to, are the ones that end up like that. And then they say they hate school. I love school. I think school is fun, but I'm a nerd. So, that's just me. But like I said, it really all depends on you. But don't get into something where you don't know what it is. People do it all the time with HIM, Health Information Management. They do it all the time. Or HIT, Health Information Technology. They do it all the time. And then you see them, and then they look so miserable because they didn't want to do this, but they saw the money and they got greedy. Be honest. Saw the money, got greedy, and said, okay, yeah, I could do that. It's just sitting at a desk all day. No. It's thinking all day. It's running to meetings all day long. It is managing the ship. You are the captain of the ship. Whether you have an RHIT, Registered Health Information Technician, or you have an RHIA, Registered Health Information Administrator, right? Either one of these, if you are in those leadership positions, you are running from meeting to meeting. You are putting out proverbial fires, right? Everywhere. You are trying to keep your staff motivated. You are trying to keep departments moving forward. You are trying to maintain accountability for those that need to maintain it. You're trying to make sure that everything runs efficiently. It is a big, responsible job. It is a career. It is a calling. It is not something that you enter into lightly. Okay? And that's why I say, if you've been in coding, you want to move up, then you pursue the degree, because then you have the power of the organization that you had worked for behind you, and then maybe you get some of that reimbursement money, the tuition reimbursement money to go to school with. And those opportunities are there. And sometimes the organizations don't advertise these things. Sometimes you have to go to HR and say, do we have this? Do we have this program, or do we have these funds for education? And sometimes maybe they say, well, we don't have that much funds, but we have a few $1,000s budgeted every year for education. So what can you do with a few $1,000s? You can take CDI courses, right, through HC Pro. HC Pro is fantastic, and I do recommend their programs. They have boot camps. Boot camps are 60 days, but you got to be on it. And I've taken two. I've taken their inpatient coding boot camp, and I've taken their CDI boot camp. Both were really good and valuable experiences. My employer paid for those. I didn't pay for that. It's pricey, but they paid for it. But guess what? My organization has a more competent coder because of it. I'm just saying. So you spend your time with the organization, see what they have to offer. As my Uncle Kyle says, a closed mouth does not get fed. You have to ask around. You have to do your research, And you've got to find out if you have resources available there. I'm just saying. All right, let's see. What do we got here? All righty. Okay. Kim says, after taking the CPC exam, I realized that I needed to learn the guidelines more. Now I am listening to the guidelines. Way to go. While I'm doing chores or driving. I'm 64, by the way. Never too old to learn. That is right. Okay. Becky says, not me trying to get more training in medical coding to help me pay off my student loan. Tiffany says, former microbiologist currently studying in a 12-month program in a college and hoping to get my certification as a coder. Just saying this is for people who want to be serious. Thanks for your advice. That is awesome, and way to go. I like that background, microbiologist. I like it. Becky says, where was this advice in 2009? I wasn't on YouTube in 2009, so I was just barely starting my career at that time. So this advice comes after years of being a coder, because Medical Coding with Bleu kicked off in 2018. So 10 years into my career was when I came up with the channel. So I had already had a decade of experience at the time to be able to share all of this information. So I knew where a lot of these things, that the mistakes that people had made, I had seen them and I knew the answers. And so that's why making the channel and sharing this information became so important to me. All right. James says, do you use Codify via the AAPC site or something comparable? Asking because I am trying to leverage all the technical tools available. Do you like ebooks or hard copy books? That's an easy question. I like hard copy books because, it's hard to always kind of stare at the screen all the time. And when it comes to coding books, I like to have the book with me. Now, as far as Codify, I've never used Codify because I'm not with AAPC in any way. I'm with the HEMA. I use 3M. We have a 3M encoder at my work, so that's what I use as far as that. Kim says, my son tells me that I should be a professional student. I love school too, Blue. Aw, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I say. Hi, Luna. Kathy says, coders are lifelong learners. That's for sure. Yep, there you go. There you go. Stylish says, I am almost finished, raised my third child, not interested in any management. And that's okay. As long as you know what those degrees are for. That's the important thing. Because I think sometimes when people think, oh, I got to get that so that I can make more money, and not knowing what they're really actually for. And then sometimes just not making extra money because that's not the role that they're in, right? So that's why I always like to make sure that I tell people about that, because there's some people that think that they got to get everything. And it is possible to be a successful medical coder and have a lucrative career with just having one certification. I say this all the time. For 13 years in the beginning part of my career, I had the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate. I made more money than nurses. I made more money than people who had multiple credentials in coding, and people who had RHIAs and RHITs. I make more money than them. Why? Because I'm competent. And that's what will get you more money is having competence. If you don't have competence, if you can't figure stuff out, if you've got to be spoon-fed, you're not going to get far. You're not. Just plain and simple. It's not said to be mean. It is said to be the truth. A lot of people want to sit here in la la land, not really, knowing or understanding. And then they get offended when I say something like this. And again, it's not to be offensive. It is to be truthful, And sometimes if you're really nice and you say things all nice and polite all the time, people don't listen. But the second you start saying it straightforward and bluntly, then people will listen. They may not like the message, but they'll listen, you know? So, but it's not my job to always be so sweet and so nice and to be all syrupy and everything. That's not my job. If everybody liked me, then I would be doing something wrong. Now, I have more people that like me than dislike me, so I'm okay with that. I am literally okay with that because not everybody's going to like you. I don't like everybody, right? Everybody's like that. They have their own preferences. There may be something about somebody's energy that'll throw you off, you know? I have people that do that to me all the time. There's some people that they've never done anything to me personally that I know, right? People that I know, they've never done anything to me personally. There's just something off-putting about the energy that they have, and I try to limit my exposure to them because, again, if you can sense these things, you don't want to be around that. I'm just saying, you know. But for some people, they can't stand it when people are straightforward. They can't stand bluntness, and that's what I do. I'm blunt. I will be very blunt because, again, you try to be nice sometimes, and people will try to run right over you. They will waste your time if you let them. I'm just saying. Tinos says, I'm a welder by trade and looking to pivot in medical coding and billing. Looking forward to checking out your Patreon. Oh, great. Thanks. Yuli says, I have an RHIT, but never really work on that. Actually worked for doctor's office, back office, and a little bit of everything. Billing, very little coding. Now I want to work in coding. Well, that's awesome. Oh, see? I like it when people tell their age because it encourages other people. And a lot of times people will think, wow, gosh, Blue, I'm in my 50s and I just don't know if I can do this. Do you know that's it's a high majority of my audience is between 30s and 60s, according to YouTube. So according to the analytics, there's a growing number that are in this age group. And so I think it's fantastic. And I think it encourages other people when they think about doing something like this and they're like, well, I don't know, you still have a long time to work. You're in your 50s, you still got another 20 years. So that's plenty of time for a career. I'm just saying, Yuli says, my college is a very good program in coding. We did like 3 semesters deep in coding, but this was back in 2024. You were on that cusp of ICD-9 and ICD-10. Looking for a refreshment course, more dedicated, hands-on practicing, and not very expensive. Then you can look at my independent study. There I have all the books and I have all of the practice manuals that you can be working with. So you don't need a program for that. You got all your basics. You can work with the workbooks. Rose says, what tips do you have for a certified medical biller trying to get their foot in the door with no previous experience, even in the office setting, transitioning from 11 years in food service into being a biller? So when you were in food service, did you do anything on the register or were you just in the kitchen? Because if you were just in the kitchen, this means that you know about weight, you know about measuring things, you know about inventory, you know about keeping logs and track. Well, these are all transferable skills for billers. Okay, you have to know about numbers. What did you do related to numbers in food service? Okay, you have to apply. Even if they're asking for experience, you still have to apply. Because if you wait for them to say, oh yes, we welcome brand new billers who have no experience, you're going to be waiting around a long time. Again, like my Uncle Kyle says, a closed mouth does not get fed. You have to have a really good one-page resume. I don't want to know the 50,000 things that you did during your food service career. What I need to know is what are those transferable things. If you were a cashier in the food service industry, you need to do that. Did you make deposits? Okay, that's another thing you can add onto your skills. And so what else did you learn when you were in your program for CPB? That's the thing. Did you learn about coding? Did you learn your fundamentals of ICD 10CM? Did you learn about the coding guidelines? Those are all skills that you have. You need to look at everything and you need to keep applying. Because a lot of times with billing positions, they'll train you. They're willing to train because different places have different things that they do as far as like who they bill. Some, if you work for a government facility, they have different rules. If you work for a federally qualified healthcare facility, again, different rules. If you work for a private medical group, they bill differently as well. So those are just some options that you have. But think about the numbers. Think about all the things you did related to numbers. Put that on your resume and make that the focus. If you are a volunteer, let's just say, for example, I'm just saying for an example, okay? If you did or you didn't, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. But if, let's just say you were a volunteer at your church, right? You're a volunteer at your church, you handed the collection plate around. That's money handling. People put money into the collection plate. You have to go and collect that money. You have to go make the deposit in the bank. Or even if you didn't, if you had to handle the cash and secure the cash, that's also money handling. That also can be put onto your resume. If you have your own, let's just say you do a little side business, right? And you charge people, right? Maybe you do nails, I'm just saying. And you have to, manage the payment, right? You do electronic payments, you handle cash, again, transferable skills. That's what you got to look for. Okay. Let's see. All right, so hopefully, Rose, that answered your question. Kathy says, as an inpatient coder, I'm very rusty on CPTs. What would you recommend a boot camp? You got 60 days to sit there and be on that outpatient coding? Yep, I do recommend it. Yuli says, we went through the coding books, every chapter in detail. Well, then good. So then you know what to do and you can do it again. All right. Susie Q says, I'm 55 and got my CPC last year and I'm taking the CCS November 1st. Congratulations. That is awesome. Gloria says, Bleu, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you are like mother that care for her children and want to teach them principles and values that will help them when they are on their own. Well, thank you, Gloria. It's funny because I don't have children at all. And so to know that people still see me like that, that's very nice. I take that as a compliment. Let's see. All right. Williams says, what is the quickest way to get through the AAPC COC training course? The class is very extensive and it feels like it's taking a long time to get through the courses. Do you really want to do this? Miss Williams, do you really want to do this? Because there is no quick way. If you're looking for a quick way, this is not the career field for you because it's going to take time. I don't know why you're pursuing the COC when employers are asking for the CPC. And the COC and the CPC are virtually the same thing, except for the COC has a little bit more billing questions on it. It's all outpatient, certified outpatient coder. But people are looking for the CPC, the certified professional coder. Okay, either one, you're still going to have the apprentice, and there is no rushing. If you are rushing, if you're looking to get through that really quickly, you're not going to absorb the material. You're not going to understand what you're doing. You may be able to pass the test because it is multiple choice. But when you get out in the real world, guess what? It's not multiple choice at all. And when you take these assessment tests and you can't pass them because these employers are going to test you before they even go any further with you. And if you can't pass these assessment tests, then you're really not going to get called. And so guess what? Then you just wasted money. So either you buckle down and you accept that it's going to feel like it's dragging, and maybe you change the way that you're studying so that you don't feel so bored or that you don't feel like you're wasting your time because it's going so tediously. Unless you change your ways of studying, that may help you. But if you're just trying to rush and just get through it, this is probably not for you. I'm just saying. Anna says, what is the best course to prep for the CCS that you know of? The best way to prep for the CCS does not involve paying for a course. It involves getting the workbooks that I recommend, which is this book here. You don't have to get the 2019 book. You can get the most current one if you want to. The link is in my other videos, but get this. This will help you with ICD-10-CM and ICD-10-PCS. Is the most best book that you can ever get. And then you get the CPC study guide. And yes, you get the CPC study guide because we all use the same CPT code set. And the CPC study guide covers everything you need to know about CPT. And you use that to help you to study. Now, AHIMA does have the CCS study guide, but I do not recommend that book because it has every other answer. It doesn't have the whole answer key. Whereas these two books that I recommend, these workbooks, they're giving you a lot of information and they're giving you the answers and explanation. That's what you can do. And of course, you take those, if you have the Optum ICD-10 PCS book, you use that to get in the back of that book. There's an Appendix M. It has all of the questions to look up for those inpatient procedures. You go through the 388 of them that are back there, and it has the answers right there too. So you have all of that practice, and that way you can be prepared, because the majority of that test is your coding knowledge and skill. If you do not go through those books, and if you try to pay somebody to, let's just do this prep course and we're going to charge you a few $100s, what good is it if you're not practicing? Because you have less than 2 minutes, you have roughly 2 minutes per question. So if you're not practicing with your coding manuals, if you're not listening to those coding guidelines, if you're not reviewing Quizlet for all of those things that are there as well, that it's free, I'm just saying, that's how you prepare, is by actually doing the work, not by buying a prep course, not by doing all these other extra things that you do not need. You get those workbooks and you work with them. You get your coding manuals and you familiarize yourself with them. That's how you succeed on that test. Let's see. Jessica says, hello, if I do the AHIMA CCS exam, which books do you recommend? Does AHIMA tell you which books to learn from? And I just answered that question. Luna says, for those of you who are self-studying coding, I highly recommend you follow Bleu's advice. I did pass the exam, and while preparing to apply for jobs, I have been waiting to apply for the jobs I've been waiting for a while. There you go. Even if you're in school, follow her advice. Do that and you may find the right job for you. There you go. Yuli says, any software to practice coding? Your books. Your books. That's what you use. You don't use software right now. You cannot use software when you are taking your exam. It is all books. So use your books. There is no software for this, not right now. But no membership needed through AAPC. Kathy says, sounds like the CPC study guide may be good for me to brush up on for the CPC. Yes. For CPTs. Yes, exactly, Miss Kathy. Yes. JC says, I'm a CPC 2 years ago and a CRC now. Should I take the CIC for higher income? No, not unless you want to work for inpatient. Not unless you want to do inpatient coding. Look at how many employers are looking for the CIC certification in your area. You may find that they are not looking for it as much as they are looking for the CCS. So if you have been a coder for 2 years, that is what I would recommend, that you get the CCS, because the CIC, while there may be some people that are looking for it, there's not a lot. And again, if you're just after it for the money and you're not actually going to be an inpatient coder, you're wasting money and you're wasting time. What is the best way to get, best free way to get CEUs? You need to do your research, because there's tons of them out there. You can find them all over LinkedIn. There's lots of vendors who will offer free CEUs. And you can also do a Google search in that as well. So just something that you ought to know, because sometimes you may have to pay for CEUs depending on what certifications you have. Hopefully you don't have 100,000 certifications yet. And sticking with one for the first 2 years is a good thing, because if you have all these credentials and you don't have a job yet, it can make getting these CEUs very expensive. But don't always rely on free CEUs. You have to sometimes invest, okay? I know it's going to take some time sometimes, and you may not have the money for it, but don't always only rely on getting free CEUs. I'm just saying. Ms. Williams says, my job paid for the COC course. CPC was not available. That's too bad. That's too bad. All right. So with that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because I've been going for at least an hour and 10 minutes now. But something to consider though, Ms. Williams, you can always consider getting the CPC on your own. I'm just saying, if you're already studying for the COC, which I don't know why they would do that to you. That just doesn't make sense to me. But that's, I don't know, maybe they just don't, I don't know, maybe they don't know. One more thing before I wrap up. So somebody did post, I have a Facebook channel for Medical Coding with Bleu, or Facebook page for Medical Coding with Bleu. Somebody posted in there that the CBCS, the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist that I do not recommend from the NHA, they are saying now that books are not required, coding books are not required for their exam. For the Certified Billing and Coding Specialist exam through the NHA that no one looks for, now they're saying that they're not requiring books for that exam because all the information is going to be in that question. My problem with this is that people will say that this is a Certified Billing and Coding Specialist certificate. Not all employers look for this. Very small amount of employers will look for this. I have looked everywhere for employers that will look for this. Everybody is always going to be looking for a HEMA or AAPC certifications, right? So the CBCS is typically given for free as a part of a program package. And so sometimes they think that that's a great way to incentivize people. Hey, you'll get a free certification. And, you know, people get really excited about it, not knowing that employers are not asking for it. Okay. Now, some people will get offended and say, oh no, we look for it over here. Okay, well, that may be you. But if you're really going to take this seriously, think about this now. This is why employers don't ask for this certification. Because before, many years ago, it did not require books. Then I think they were trying to elevate the level of this certificate, and they started to require books. And so that's been going on for a couple of years. Now they're saying, no, we don't need books anymore, because it's going to make it more efficient for the student and for the proctor. Okay, but what happens? What about these people that you're sending out into the real world? That you're not equipping them, that you're not testing their competence, that you're basically giving them a multiple choice test that is not requiring books. How can you not require coding books for a certificate that says Certified Billing and Coding Specialist? It is not a guessing game in the real world, folks. It's not a guessing game. There's not multiple choice when you're going to go and pick these codes. And sometimes the system will pick the codes, sometimes the provider will pick the codes. 90% of the time, those codes are something's going to be wrong with the codes. Either it's going to be the wrong code, or it's going to be in the incorrect order, or there's going to be something that should be different, right, with these codes. So with that said, why would you take a chance in getting a certificate that says Certified Billing and Coding Specialist, but it requires no coding manuals? That's why people don't ask for it. So that's why I'm saying, when you look at the job listings, before you get offended, look at the job listings and you will see that they're asking for a HEMA or AAPC certifications for a reason, because these two organizations require coding manuals to take their tests. So there's a little bit of level of elevated competence that you have to have, okay? And it's not something that you can just guess your way through. You actually have to understand how to use those manuals. And using the manuals is not like looking up a word in the dictionary. I'm just saying. Okay, it actually takes some steps. It's involved. There's all those things. So that's not something that, you know, some people are thinking of. Okay, so if you do find yourself in a program right now that says that they're going to give you this CPCS certification, and you're just going to be able to take this certification, and then you can go and you can find your job with it. If that's the case and you have it, there's nothing that you can do because you didn't know. But what I would strongly encourage you to do is to be able to show your competence by getting one of those certifications. Yes, it's a few $100s. And yes, I know times are hard. But I know that when you want to do something, that you will make a way to do it. And this is something that if you really are serious about it, you will make a way. And when you make a way, when you do this, it will reward you. It will pay you back because you will be in a career. This is not just something that's going to go away and this is going to be all, no. It requires people who are competent. And when you give your competence, you give your time, and you build that competence, it will pay you back. I'm just saying, because that's my own personal opinion. That's how I feel, because I've been in this career field, and that's what I did with it. I didn't worry about the money, and the money always came to me. Never worried about it. What I worried and focused and concentrated on was learning. That's what I focused on, and that's what you should focus on. Okay, so if you find yourself in that situation where you have a CPCS, study more so you can get either in a HEMA certification or an AAPC certification. And if you really truly do believe in yourself, you went through that whole coding program and you apply all the things that you've learned and you start studying based on whichever certification that you're sitting for, and you look at those domains, the domains of the topics, and you review those, you go through my independent study. That's what's going to help you to get your certification so that you can compete out there for medical coding certification, medical coding jobs. Okay? You want to be able to compete, but that's the way you're going to be able to do it. I'm just saying. You're welcome, guys. Gloria says, how are they going to look for the codes? How are they going to know what the proper codes are for a particular case? According to that message on Facebook, all of the information is there in the question. Again, how can you do that? That's just, thank you, Gloria. Thank you for pointing that out. Stylish says, thank you, Blue. I needed to hear some of this. You're welcome. And if it came off harsh, it's only because I care. It's literally only because I care. I'm just saying. JC, you're going to have to go back to the video because I talked about that a little bit earlier. But if you check my YouTube channel, you'll see I've done several videos about the CCS, about preparing for the CCS, and I've got the whole breakdown as well. And you'll be able to do that. Again, if you have the CPC and the CRC just says you can diagnosis code. But you have that CPC, so you're halfway there because you got CPT, majority of CPT on that CPC exam done and out of the way. Keep practicing, okay? Get those 2 workbooks that I recommend in those videos for the CCS prep, okay? Get those and work with those, study those, and apply yourself. And then, you know, you'll get there. I'm just saying. Anyway, guys, I gotta get going. But it was great to see all of you again. I did promise that I was going to be live on the 26th. We'll see. We may end up picking up this conversation tomorrow, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I have a study hall tomorrow at 6 Central Time with my Patreons. So I usually that goes on for an hour, so I'll see. I don't think I'm going to film anything tonight anyway, so I may be live again tomorrow. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your likes and your subscribes. Thank you for your comments. And I will see y'all tomorrow night. Bye.